Hey everybody, welcome back to the I Play 2 podcast. I'm your host, Rob Adler. This week, current University of Virginia field hockey player Taryn Tkachuk joins the show. In high school, Taryn led the state of Missouri in goals and points all 4 seasons. As a senior, in overtime of her final high school game, she scored the game-winning goal to win the state championship. Last season at UVA, Taryn starred on and off the field as she was named to the All-ACC tournament team, as well as the All-ACC academic team. Her older brothers, Brady and Matthew Tkachuk, and her father, Keith Tkachuk, have all been named to the National Hockey League All-Star team multiple times. Taryn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you. So my first question is, how did you get into field hockey?
I think it was about 7th grade. I was playing soccer as my main sport, and I was getting very burnt out. So I was thinking about quitting, and my mom's like, well, you gotta take up another sport. So I dove right into field hockey as all my friends were playing it, and my PE coach was actually the head field hockey coach at my school and the local club. So she was like, come try it out. So I did. I've loved it ever since.
What was the biggest adjustment going from the soccer field to the field hockey field?
Honestly, not that much. They're very similar in the amount of players that are on the field and some rules as well. Like there's forward, midfield, defense, but one big thing was the offsides. There's no offsides in field hockey, so you can kind of go wherever, whenever you want. So I really liked that change for sure.
With your family being so involved in ice hockey, how hard was it to communicate to them about the rules of field hockey?
Very. They still are confused to this day, actually. There's a lot of whistles. They get very confused. My dad likes to throw out some hockey terms whenever I'm playing. You can hear him on the sidelines. Put your stick on the ice, get the puck, move towards the puck. I'm like, Dad, I'm just not playing ice hockey, but they're getting the hang of it. They love watching it, love following along, but they definitely get very confused at times.
Field hockey isn't as popular sport in North America as it is, let's say, in Asia and Oceania. What are some of the big rules that most North Americans don't really know?
A big one, just coming from soccer, is it can't touch your feet. So field hockey, I guess you could say it's a lot of hand-eye coordination, but just coming right from soccer, I always thought about just kicking the ball, which is very against the rules. Immediate whistles. I think the offsides one is a big one as well, just from everyone knowing soccer and how there's offsides in that sport. But I think those are the 2 main rules. Other than that, I feel like it's pretty similar to the game of soccer and maybe some lacrosse as well.
You took to field hockey pretty quickly. Basically, in 5 years, you went from never playing the sport to being one of the greatest players in Missouri high school history. How did that transition happen so quickly?
I think just because I was so involved with soccer 5 days a week, and I just had to jump right into field hockey since I was fairly new, and everyone in my age group already had been playing since they were 3 years old. I had a lot of catching up to do. I had experience playing some pillow hockey in my PE class and just playing ice hockey growing up. I only played for like 2 years, but just having some experience, that definitely helped. And I just really worked at it. I got extra lessons. I did every tournament possible. Worked with my high school coach at the time just to get some pointers. I worked very hard at the beginning, and I'm still working hard at it because you can always improve. But early on, I knew something I wanted to focus on and put all my time towards. So my work ethic and my hard work really helped.
You mentioned you only played a couple years ice hockey, but did grabbing the stick and some of the ice hockey movements help translate to the field hockey field?
Well, it's kind of funny because I'm a lefty in ice hockey, but all field hockey sticks are righty. So I really had to, I guess, learn new movement because I'm so used to my lefty stick, and you know how you can use both sides Field hockey doesn't do that. We just have the righty sticks and you can only use one side of the stick. So you have to like kind of turn over your hands. So I wouldn't say it helped me a ton just because I had to learn how to use the other side and basically start from scratch.
It's just unbelievable to me that in 5 years you went from never playing to leading the state in pretty much almost every offensive category for 4 years. That's unbelievable.
Thank you. It was definitely hard, but I think I really worked hard at it, definitely in middle school, and grew as a player.
When you got to high school and after your freshman year, people kind of learn who you are. How were you able to keep scoring with teams scheming to stop you?
Oh, I don't know. My entire team, like all 4 years, I had a lot of great players that definitely helped me out. A girl in my grade, Susie Kiefer, she was an unbelievable player and she played midi. And so she was very good at dishing the ball and making open space for me. And all the great players I've played with definitely helped in getting advice from some of my coaches and what I now kind of had to focus on. Because freshman year, no one knew who I was. I mean, I honestly just came in and played my game, and I think people started noticing. So I just kind of had to find a new game as years go on, and my teammates definitely helps that.
How are you able to develop and evolve your game as the years have gone by?
I think just working outside of practice and games, we had a built-in turf area in my basement with like a big, those hockey tarps that have the holes and the top corners, the bottom corners, and the 5 hole. We had one of those for the boys. They had like an ice area, and then I had my turf area. So just working extra on my skills, shot, movements. My dad would sometimes go down there with me, and then just doing lessons at the turf at my school with my coaches and stuff. I think just working on things you think you need to improve on and elevating those really helped my game for sure.
As a senior in your final game, you score the game winner in overtime to win the state title. What was that moment like? And kind of take me through what led up to that.
That was definitely one of my favorite games ever. But actually, in the quarterfinals, I had hurt my groin. It was very cold out. It was a team who were kind of beating by a lot. So my coach would take a couple of us out and sit for a quarter or so and then put us back in. And I think I just got a little cold and I did a certain movement and kind of pulled my groin a bit. So it definitely inhibited me from playing my best. I'd say the semifinals and the finals. I didn't even know if I was going to play in the finals, but I did everything I could to get there, and I knew it was my last game. So definitely wanted to put it all out there. But we had played this team in the regular season and beat them 4-1. And so I think we all went into it thinking, oh, this is going to be easy. We're going to crush this team. But as the game went on, it was pretty even. And so I think we we're all getting a little nervous and we're like, we need to pick it up right now. So once overtime started, our team was definitely dominating. And I knew we were going to win this game no matter what. So the girl I was talking about earlier, Susie Kiefer, she has really good stick skills, all that. She kept on beating these girls on the baseline and kind of dishing some balls in. And somehow I got myself open in the circle and the ball found its way to me and did a nice little reverse into the net. So that was definitely one of the best moments, and especially having my family there, my brothers there, and being on my birthday. It was one of the best birthdays and days of my life.
You were injured and you scored the game winner on your birthday? Holy cow.
Definitely wasn't my best games, but good thing I came up in the end because I would have been very mad at myself if I didn't.
What was the celebration like?
Honestly, I think I blacked out for a second when that goal happened because I couldn't believe it had happened. I still think about it and I kind of get chills just with the situation with the birthday, my whole family being there and doing it with all my best friends on my team. Crazy to think about that it happened, but it was awesome. Everyone was so happy. Everyone was so excited. I don't even remember what we did for a celebration, but in the moment, it was awesome. So much fun.
It's interesting because I've talked to several other people when they've had big moments, they have the same reaction. They're like, I don't totally remember.
It's one of those things that happens still now with me, even if it's a random goal I score. I'm like, I don't even know how that happened, but I just don't even remember.
What was it like having your family there? Because with your brother's hockey career, not everything lines up on the calendar.
Definitely, especially with field hockey, always being in the fall and them having to go to their teams in middle of September usually. They were actually able to be there October 31st, which was crazy, but that was because of COVID, which was very unfortunate that that happened, but also it was a great way to be able to spend time with my family, which we never had that much time like that in a long time, ever since we were very young. So that was a special time for us and a special moment for, I think, the rest of my family as well, because they haven't seen many of my games. So it was a cool moment to have them there for a huge moment in my life and my career. So I was glad I got to share it with them. And I think they were honestly maybe more excited than I was.
With it being during COVID, how was your team able to kind of navigate everything at that time?
Well, so it was the fall of 2020. So things were starting to open up. We were in school in person, obviously wearing masks, but it was crazy because we went through our preseason, we were practicing for like weeks, but we weren't allowed to play games. I think the governor or something wasn't allowing to play any high school or grade school sports to play competitions. So the beginning of my senior season thinking, I think I already played my last game as a high school field hockey player. I was devastated, but I think it was either beginning or middle of September when my coach finally sent us the text saying, we're finally able to play games. Our athletic director already is working on the schedule. Our first game's in a few days. So we went from practicing every day, and then when we thought we weren't going to be playing games, we changed practice to once or twice a week. But when we finally got that text, it was crazy. We were all so excited and glad that we could finish out our last season.
What was it like to play that first game of the senior season, coming off the idea of you might not ever get a chance to play again?
I'm trying to remember the first game, but I definitely think we were very excited. Oh gosh, now I want to know who our first game was. But I think knowing that we finally had the opportunity to play games after not knowing if we were, it was an exciting moment for us and one that we had been preparing for a month at that point because we'd been practicing and our team was so good. We probably crushed the team we played.
You mentioned you got the text from your coach saying that you were going to play. How was your coach communicating with all the players prior to you being able to practice?
I mean, we all had a group chat together, but me and three other girls were the four captains. So we also had like a separate chat with our coach. And my coach, Kate Graft, is someone who I'm super close to. She's been on my journey with me ever since seventh grade and someone who I go to for advice very often, even now. So we had a little group chat going, and there was nights where we would just be like, oh, wish we could play some games. And then finally, she texted us, but it was 11 p.m. and I had already fallen asleep. So I woke up to text the next morning saying, we're ready to go. Let's get playing. So it was super exciting. And then our coach was able to text in our big group chat with the rest of our team saying, get ready to go. We're going to be playing in 2 days or whatever it was. So everyone was super excited.
That's like Christmas in September right there.
I know. That was awesome.
You mentioned how much your coach has meant to you and how important she is. What's the best piece of advice that she's given to you when it comes to just going through life, not necessarily field hockey related?
That's a good one. I'm gonna have to really think about that. I wouldn't say she's told me a certain something, but the way she lives her life, someone who I really look up to and look up to as a role model, how she is with people, how she acts, and someone who is a good example of someone I want to be when I grow up. And I've learned from her. I'm still learning from her. And I think she's a great person. She's a great role model. And I'm glad to have someone like her in my life to help me whenever I need some advice, whether that's field hockey in the real world. But she's awesome. Still keep in touch with her today, probably monthly, which is less than it was before, but I always see her when I go home.
That's as good of an endorsement as any from a former player.
She was a great coach and a great person.
For you, growing up with two brothers who also had their careers, how did your parents balance getting everybody where they needed to go?
I honestly have no idea how they did it because we were always in three different places. The boys, they were always at the rink, but they're on two separate teams. So it was always different times. And then me getting taken to soccer, tennis, because at that time when I was playing sports, I was playing a lot of them. But my grandparents always were very helpful with that. It's because also when my dad was playing, it was difficult for my mom to try and get us everywhere. So my grandparents were definitely a huge help. But then my dad retired and he was always around. He was coaching the boys, coming to all my games. But that's a great question. I have no idea how they did it, but they somehow made it happen. So kudos to them.
With your mom having to keep everything organized, how was she able to do that, especially when your dad was on the road?
Wow, that's a good question. We call her the rock of our family. She keeps us together, she keeps us in line. She's one of the most organized people ever. She always has the schedule going, but I was super young when my dad played, so I don't remember much. But she had us all in line, got us everywhere we needed to go. And I honestly think about it, and we've talked about it as a family, and we're like, we don't know how you did it with all three of us running around. It's crazy to think about how she got us to where we needed to go, but she's the rock of our family. She can make it happen.
From growing up, what's a favorite memory you have with your mom?
I would just say we always spent so much time together because she always took me to my stuff, and then we'd always go to the boys' stuff and sit in stands, watch their games together. And she's my best friend. We're the only girls in our family, so she's someone I lean on to for anything, for everything, whether that's if I want to talk field hockey, if I don't want to talk field hockey, if it's about school. She's always there now when I need her. I need some advice or whatever.
With your dad playing a year of college hockey, was he able to help you navigate a little bit of the recruiting process?
Oh, yeah. So I think also with them going through it with the boys as well. But the ice hockey and the field hockey recruiting is very different. I'm not sure exactly how, but I think the boys committed in eighth grade. So I was later in the game. Freshman year in high school is still super early to be looking at college, in my opinion, because you honestly have no idea what you want to do as a 14-year-old. But he was someone I could ask questions to. And whenever I was talking to a coach, some of the times he wanted to be on the call. And he was someone that was a great resource. And he was a great person to have during that process because even in my junior year, when I was still going through the process, I was still 17. So I still don't have that knowledge of what college honestly is and what I'm looking for. So he was someone that was very helpful in that aspect.
With being the megastar in Missouri that you were on the field hockey field, take me through just how many schools are recruiting you and how did you end up deciding on University of Virginia?
There was a couple schools that I was heavily interested in. I had visited a few my freshman year, and then I visited a few again my junior year. And I was always looking for a place that had great academics, a great field hockey program, and also had a community of great people. And I had finished my visits my junior year around middle of October, and I was in the middle of field hockey season. So I had gotten to the point where I told my parents, I don't want to talk about it. I just want to finish the season. I'll talk to you when I'm ready. I don't know what I want to do. And so they kind of left me alone for a little bit about that subject. But then my high school team ended up having an end of the year party, and I was talking with a few of my coaches, and one of my coaches had played, I think, at Washington and Lee, which I think is about an hour away. And she had talked to me about UVA and what a great place it is. And that's when I started thinking, like, wow, it actually is a great place. And it has the three things I want: a great school, a great program, and great people. It's literally my perfect school. So I'd come home from the party and I was going to bed or whatever. And I was just thinking to myself, and I was like, wait, I know where I want to go. So I'd put on my Virginia t-shirt and I had put a sweatshirt over it. And I walked downstairs to my parents' room and I was like, guys, I think I know where I want to go to school. And they're completely shocked because I specifically told them we're not talking about it. So I think they were very surprised when I pulled up my sweatshirt and showed my UVA t-shirt, and they just started running around. They were so excited. And I think all along that was one of their top schools as well. So they were very excited to explore a new place we haven't really been before. So just seeing them visit all the time now, and especially during the season, I can see how much they love it. And they always talk about it when people ask and say how great of a place it is and all that. So it was a long process and a lot of thinking and deciding what I want to do, but I'm glad I made this decision. I do not regret it whatsoever. It's the best place for me, and can't believe 2 years are already done. Only have 2 left, so that's very scary and sad, but I'm excited for these next 2 years.
For people who haven't been, how would you describe Charlottesville?
That's a hard one. Well, it's very hilly. I know this is a random description. It's a lot of greenery. I'd say it's a small town. Everything's pretty close together, especially campus. Definitely not a big school, but it's definitely not a small school. I say it's kind of perfect in between, but there's so many great people here. There's mountains, which is pretty cool if you like hiking, and some pretty views for sure. I mean, this campus is awesome. It's so pretty in every season. I think fall especially, it looks really pretty with the leaves changing and all that, but the people are so nice. I love all the students that go here. They've been nothing but welcoming, and it's a great place. I didn't even know what Virginia was or heard about the school until my sophomore year when they had reached out to my coach and showed some interest. So I'm glad I took a look at them because now I'm here.
You get to Charlottesville, you step on campus. Was there any kind of adjustment for you?
Oh, for sure. I think it's a little different, especially as an athlete, and the fall is when my season is. So honestly, I didn't have a lot of time to adjust because we kind of were thrown into it, had games every weekend. I think I more had an adjustment period with the school aspect because I took some difficult classes and it's a different course load from high school. And so I definitely struggled a little bit. And field hockey wise, I tore my meniscus in my knee before coming here in the summer. So I had to rehab all the time. And then I tore it again in season. So when I wasn't playing at the end of the season, that's when everything kind of hit me because school was very difficult and I wasn't playing the sport I loved. And I think that's when I started to get homesick a little bit and everything kind of hit me at once. But since then, I've been on the up and up. School's gone so much better for me. I've taken classes that I actually enjoy and am able to actually accomplish. Feel hockey's going well, minus some injuries here and there. But now I like to leave home, honestly, and get here. So I don't think my parents love that so much when I'm so excited to go back to school. But I think an adjustment period happens for every student coming in, even if you're not an athlete, because it's definitely very different from high school. You have a lot more freedom, which can be dangerous. I like playing a sport because it gives me set times of when I need to do things. And so I'm not waiting the last second to do things. Like I have specific time slots. So I think that was helpful. But yeah, it was definitely an adjustment period at times, but I've figured it out by now, thankfully.
Tore my meniscus in college when I attempted stupidly to play basketball. Short weight people like me shouldn't be playing basketball. But what was the rehab process like for you?
They cut it out. They didn't repair it. So that was the first surgery in the summer. So technically it was only a 4 to 6 week recovery. And so when I came back to school and preseason started, I was doing my bike workouts. I was going to rehab with my trainer every day. And then maybe a week into preseason, I was able to start participating in practice a little bit. And then I don't think I was cleared to play in a game until around the first week of September. So I'd missed a couple weekends of games, but I was able to play for maybe a month. And then my knee started hurting very badly. And I knew it wasn't just because I was playing and practicing every day. I knew this sharp pain in my knee, and I knew it was probably my meniscus again. So when I found out it was, I was very devastated. So any injury you have, it's definitely hard mentally, especially when you can't play the sport you love and do almost every day. So that was definitely very difficult, but I knew I wasn't going to be back for the rest of the season. So that's when I really focused, took my time to make sure that I was 100% the next time I played field hockey. So I think there's a great support staff here. My family was very supportive, and just really focusing on my health was important after that second knee injury. So my knees haven't had any problems since, knock on wood. I'm really glad I took the time and listened to my body to really focus on getting back my strength and hopefully strengthening my knees for a while, for the rest of my career, I guess.
There's something to be said for having the patience to recover from an injury, because it's not something that is going to be good tomorrow.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult.
Not only on the field have you found success, but off the field, you're academic all ACC, and at Virginia, that's very impressive because Virginia is basically an Ivy League type school. What are you studying, and what classes do you really enjoy?
I'm definitely very interested in media studies and hope to get into that. But I've taken some writing classes. I took news writing, which I really enjoyed. It honestly opened up my eyes to maybe something I want to do in the future. I wrote all my stories for my assignments about sports. I can't really stray away from sports. It's what I know best, what I've lived all my life with, and something I will probably never give up. So classes like those. I took some film classes, which were very interesting and maybe something to do in the future, but I'm still figuring that out. Everyone says going in their freshman year, oh, I have a lot of time to figure it out. And I still keep saying that, even though I need to actually figure it out. It's starting to become the time. So hopefully I'll have that all figured out soon.
With your writing, what's a favorite story that you've done so far?
I actually wrote a story about the Florida Panthers. I took this class this summer, and it was during their run in the playoffs. I think when I had actually written it, it was in the middle of the Carolina series when they were up 2-0. So I had written about their journey of almost not making the playoffs and barely sneaking in. And then went through the historic upset and then them beating Toronto and how they're playing very well against Carolina. So I just wrote about their success and how they could maybe be an underdog story to win the Stanley Cup. We all know that unfortunately didn't happen, but it was a fun story to write because it was something I had a lot of knowledge about. And I got to interview Matthew for it. I interviewed his teammate, Casey Fitzgerald. I think I interviewed another teammate's mom. So it was fun to act as a reporter to people that I spend almost every day with and talk to every day. So it was fun to write about them, write about their success, and especially with hockey, knowing so much about it. So it was a super fun story to write and something that opened up my eyes to maybe doing in the future. So we'll see.
As a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, I wasn't totally thrilled with the outcome of that Panther series.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry. What was it like to be able to write about your brother who was playing for the Panthers? I mean, that's got to be pretty cool.
Oh, it was super cool because I realized after writing the story, almost the entire story was about basically Matthew because he was playing so well. He was a leader on his team. He was leading them throughout these playoffs. So it was super cool to see how much of an impact he was having on his team and something I look up to as a field hockey player and how I could maybe be in the future and how I could be my own leader in my own sport. So it was something I really looked up to. And definitely as a sister, I was super excited for him and super proud of him. So it was super cool.
Taking my Toronto Maple Leafs fandom out of this, as a rabid hockey fan as well, it was such a neat story because absolutely no one expected this after them being down 3-1 against the Bruins.
That was the craziest story. I still can't believe that happened. That was awesome. Those games were so much fun.
Did you get to go to any of the games in person?
I did. I went to game 2 in Boston because my dad's side of the family lives there. And one day I was like, I want to fly up. I need to go see a game because I don't know if I'll be able to make it because I was still in school. And then we went to game 6 in Florida. My entire family, Brady went, my parents went. It was so much fun. But we ended up not going to game 7, which I was upset about. But honestly, for the best, I would have been way too nervous.
Getting back to your career, what's the outlook for you and the team in the upcoming season?
I think we're all super excited to get back to it. I know the past 2 years, we've not gone as far as we've hoped. And especially last year, I think we were ranked higher than we were the year before. So I think we were expecting to go farther, and that didn't happen. We ended up losing the first round of the tournament, which was very upsetting. So I think we're all ready to turn things around, get back to where we should be, and make a run this year. I think we have so many great players, and we've got great players coming in, great players that are still here. So I think we have what it takes, and I think we all have that fire that we want to win. So I'm super excited. I love my team. We're such a close-knit group. We all get along so well. We all complement each other. I think this is a team that can win together, and I'm super excited to get started.
What's a typical day for you like in terms of having to balance your classes, practices, workouts, and whatever homework you have?
We usually practice in the afternoon, so we'll have classes in the morning. I'll probably have 2 hours in the afternoon to do some work and whatever else if I need rehab, treatment, or whatever. We lift twice a week, so we'll have like a 2-hour practice, and then twice a week we'll have a lift, and then dinner, and then homework. But we do that Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Wednesdays we have off. And then we usually have games Friday, Sunday. So it's super busy, but I love it. I love having a schedule. I don't know what I'd do if I had so much time. It keeps me organized, keeps me ready to go for classes. My time management is so much better in season than it is out of season. I don't know what it is, but it keeps me accountable, that's for sure.
Well, amongst you, your brothers, and your dad, who's the best athlete in the Tkachuk family?
Well, if you were talking to everyone else, they probably would have said me, but I won't say myself. I'd say my dad in his prime. He was a really good athlete. I think also, like the rest of us, he played a lot of sports growing up, but I guess I can't vote for myself, so I'll say my dad.
How competitive were you, Matthew and Brady, as kids?
Wild. We played every sport possible at our house. We played roller hockey, floor hockey in the basement, this trampoline football game we somehow made up, but it was definitely a very dangerous game. It was honestly, you just kept on hitting each other, whoever had the football in their hand. But yeah, it was definitely very competitive. Just with the boys being so close in age, they always were competing and everything. And then when I got older, I was able to join along, and they weren't making up rules to make it easier for me. I have the same rules as them. So I definitely had to learn to be tough, and they probably paved who I am today because of all of those games we did growing up. Yes, there were tears here and there, not just from me. Sometimes it was other people as well. But we'd all make up and probably do it again an hour later. So I very much enjoyed my childhood, but it was a very competitive group, that's for sure.
Trampoline football. Okay, I got to find out exactly what is that.
You'd throw the ball up in the air, and whoever caught it had the ball, and then you just checked them into the nets of the trampoline. I don't even think there was a point to this game. I honestly think it was just a reason just to hit each other.
How were you able to hold up physically?
They weren't that big when we were younger. If you saw pictures of Brady, especially, he was super skinny. But yeah, I was definitely way smaller than them. But I got through it. I learned to be tough. If I was going to play with the big boys, I had to play by their rules. And I wasn't going in and complaining or whatever. If they let me play, I had to play by their rules. But at times, it got a little too aggressive. But whatever, I cried a little and then I'd go back out the next day. There wasn't much that stopped me.
So who was the referee? With mom coming out officiating saying that's enough?
The problem is there was no referee unless someone went in crying. Then she'd be like, guys, you gotta chill out a little bit. But nope, that was probably the problem, was no one was officiating these trampoline football games. But we knew when it crossed the line, so then we'd tone it down a little bit, but never any real injuries, just some bumps, some bruises.
Away from the sporting realm, what's a favorite memory you have with your family?
A fairly recent one was my brother's wedding. This was a time when we were all together for 5 or 6 days all together. Brady ended up renting a house with his fiance at the time. And Matthew, his girlfriend, me, and my parents all went down and stayed in the house with them. So it was a nice couple days where we got to spend time together. There was a basketball hoop, so of course we're playing some games as well. And then the wedding in itself, it was a super fun time to be all together and be also with our extended family. Danced the night away, ate some great food, took some fun pictures. All our family trips are so much fun and such great memories that we'll have forever. And they're actually all coming to UVA at the end of this month for one of my games. So that's going to be super fun as well.
No pressure there again to perform in front of the entire family.
Honestly, I don't get much pressure when they all come. I mean, they only get to come to probably one game a year, but I'm pretty good about blocking that out. Just got to play my game.
With you having your field hockey season and your brother having their ice hockey season, how do you guys stay in touch and communicate?
We honestly text almost every day, whether that's group text with each other or if we're just texting each other individually about how our day went or whatever. And They try and catch some highlights or some of my games, and I always try and catch their games. And so we'll always probably text each other about that. Or if we miss a game, we ask how it went and all of that. But we're usually really good about staying in touch. And that's something that's very important to all of us. So I just love our relationship and so glad we're all so close, even when we're in the busiest times of our life. So we're always making time for each other, which I think is super important.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I don't even have my major yet. I don't know what I'm going to be in 10 years. Definitely working. Not sure where, but I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. So I don't really know what I'll be doing in 10 years. It's a good question, though. I should be thinking about that, but I can't look that far ahead. It scares me.
Taryn, I want to thank you for coming on the I Play 2 podcast today and sharing all your stories of field hockey, the Tkachuk family, and currently being a student and a player at University of Virginia. Good luck to you this season, and thanks again.
Thanks for having me.